Hi everyone! My name is Suzanne and I work at Toronto Public Library. Welcome to Mini Makers at Home. Mini Makers is a STEM program we offer in our branches where we cover concepts from science, technology, engineering, and math. These activities are designed for the young learner because STEM concepts are all around us. And we're hoping that some of these activities are ones that you can do easily at home. So let's get started. Today, we're going to be doing an activity called Does It Sink or Float? And in order to do this activity at home, you'll need to gather a few supplies beforehand. One thing you will need is a container for water. A large container is best, but use whatever you have. I saved this from a veggie tray that I had, but you could also use a basin or a foil pan or any other container that can carry water. What we're going to be doing is filling this container with water, and then we're going to be finding objects around our home. So have a look and get permission of your parent or caregiver because these items are going to be getting wet. So what I've gathered today are a variety of items over here on my little table, and I've written them down on this whiteboard here. What you can do at home is get a piece of paper and write down the same information. So at the top I wrote sink or float, and then I made a chart with 3 columns. The first column is where I wrote down the objects. So I wrote down all the things that I've collected from home. So I'll read some of them out to you. I have a race car, a candle, a spoon that's metal, a spoon that's plastic, a ping pong ball, a pipe cleaner, and some more. The second column is called prediction. So in this column, I'm going to write down my prediction, which is another word for guess, and that's where I'm going to think about, do I think the race car is going to sink or float when I place it in the water? Do I think the candle is going to sink or float when I place it in the water? So I'm going to make a prediction for each item on my list. And in the last column, it's called observation. And that's where I'm going to write down what happened. So feel free to get a piece of paper and write down what you see here. We will also be including a template for this in the description, and if you have a printer at home, you can also print it out. All right, so before we get started, I want to talk to you about a couple of concepts. The first one is density. So objects that are around us are made of molecules. If an object is more dense, then these molecules are packed tightly and close together. If an object is less dense, they are more spread apart. So that is called the density of the object. Density could also be thought of as how heavy an object is as well. Another word I'd like you to know is buoyancy. If something is buoyant, that means it has the ability to float. And if something can float, that means it has less density than the water it is floating in. Or it's attached to something that helps it become more buoyant. So for example, if I were to wear a life jacket, that would help me become buoyant. All right, so let's get started with some of our objects. So the first object I have on my list is my race car. And I predicted that yes, this is going to sink. Let's see. It does sink. My next object is a candle. I'm going to say, no, that's not going to sink. That's going to float. It does float. And my next 2 objects are a metal spoon and a plastic spoon. I'm going to say those are not going to sink and those are both going to float. Let's see. spoons. So the plastic spoon is floating, but the metal spoon sank to the bottom. I'll show you a few more of the objects that I brought with me today. I have this pipe cleaner, which floats. I have this ping pong ball, which also floats. I have a single rubber band, which floats. And I have this giant ball of rubber bands, and that sinks. I also have something that I made out of tin foil or aluminum foil. And I made a boat to show you how something that sinks because it is not buoyant enough could be helped by this boat. So let's get our race car out, our very first object that sank, and I'm going to place it in the boat. Now I want you to make a prediction of what you think will happen next. And let's see what happens. It floats. Now with the addition of the boat, the race car can float. Just like how if I were wearing a life jacket in the water, that would help me float too. I hope you enjoyed today's program. Check back soon for more Toronto Public Library Mini Makers at Home programs. Bye for now.